Thank you for joining us and welcome to another edition of Answers Network. I'm your host, Alan Cardoza. And if this is your first time watching or listening to the show, know that every Monday from 11 a.m. to noon Pacific time, this show will bring on special guests that can inspire, educate, and in some cases entertain, while bringing answers and options to making our lives happier, healthier, and more successful. And I'd really appreciate it if you could all do me a big favor. Please forward one of our shows to your social media group and know that sharing my show and others like it that focus on improved health, happiness, education, and success is one powerful way we can make a positive influence in the world together. Now, our topic today is also the title of our guest's new book, Leading an Emotionally Intelligent Life, which takes you on a masterful journey through the lens of a highly skilled practitioner using emotional intelligence assessment to change people's lives. So stay with us for the next 50 minutes and see how better understanding your emotional intelligence and can enrich your life and those around you. So, along with being an accomplished author, our guest, Patrick Kilcar, PhD, has been director of Georgetown University's Center for Personal Development since 1999. It's a center that offers direct clinical services, workshops, and training on a variety of physical health and mental health issues, especially related to emotional intelligence, leadership, and motivation. Dr. Kilcar is a master trainer in emotional intelligence, certifying professionals to use the most valid and reliable self-assessment of emotional intelligence known. It's also to assess and evaluate the social and emotional competencies of individuals in a variety of professional venues. Patrick, if I may call you that, welcome to Answers Network.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Alan.
I've enjoyed this week. Many years ago, I tried to study. There was a book that came out talking about EQ and how much better is EQ than IQ, and I really enjoyed reading it, but I don't know that it actually stayed with me. And one of the things that I've liked about reading your book is that because with many of the examples, I feel that sort of drives some of the points home a little better for me. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I think to start with, because there's probably people out there saying, what's emotional intelligence?
Right.
So what is your definition of emotional intelligence? And to follow that, what inspired you to become a leader in the field?
There is no one patent response to what's emotional intelligence per se, but I think about it in a way that feels fairly simplistic, but really to the point. And kind of social emotional intelligence is understanding my emotions in my life. Patrick's emotions, the whole array from being really angry and upset to being overly joyful and in just that perfect zone. But what do they all mean? And within it, what do I do with them? How do I understand it? What do I do with them? So that's the emotional piece. The social piece, how do I read and understand what other people are experiencing, their emotions? What are they doing with them? Because if you think about in our culture, often aggression is met with aggression, just not our culture, but cultures in general. And I think emotional intelligence invites us to be in this moment where even if someone's angry or someone's in a place where it's making us uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that we have to escalate to that place. And in fact, what happens if someone's mad at me and I'm coming from a place that's calm, they feel heard and understood at that moment, what can happen? A lot of different things can happen. And the piece about getting into this whole notion of emotional intelligence, for me, it's this whole piece of, as a clinician, I sit in this privileged chair. And I see people come in experiencing all kinds of different things, much of which is really heavy for people to carry. But I wonder when I watch emotionally what's happening in their world, and then how do those emotions really impact and craft the relationships in their life. And I've always thought about it that way. And then when the notion of the EQI came along and the competencies of emotional intelligence came along, I really gravitated towards it because it began to make sense with the way that I looked at what all of us as human beings are going through.
As you were saying that, and I was thinking about both positive and negative experiences, and I like to think that in most cases I'm I'm the calmer head in the group, um, and usually that is the case. And I think part of it is because I'm looking at a situation and saying, first of all, I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what has just occurred to
Right.
them.
Right.
And we don't know that they're not coming from the hospital where they got some really horrible news about a loved one.
Yes.
So I think that part helps. But I had an interesting situation, and it's been a long time since I had something to where somebody was just belligerent and focusing it all on me.
Wow.
And I didn't even understand why. In fact, and it was inside a store, and I found myself looking over my shoulder going, who is he talking to? Why is he yelling at this person?
Right.
And I kept looking
Right.
over my shoulder till he finally goes, yeah, you. And I was sort of taken aback. And I tried using each tool that I feel that I have at my disposal to calm him down. I'm sorry, I don't understand, what it is that you feel that I've done or whatever, but I'm sorry if it's something that's a problem. And what I realized in this particular situation was he kept escalating.
Right.
And he kept escalating. And then it hit me as to who he was more so than who I thought he might be. And I realized that this was just someone who was an incredible bully. And for whatever reason, he may have problems with his wife right now. And for some reason, he needed to show he was a big man,
Right.
whatever it was. But he came in and he was within inches of my nose as he's yelling and stuff. And I raised my hands up so that everybody around, because now everybody's looking. And I said, I'm really sorry. I said, but I want you to know that I am not going to start anything here. And I don't know what it is that I can do to make you understand this. And he started yelling again, and he kept going. And then I leaned in just a little bit more, and I said, I'm trying to tell you I won't start anything. And then I whispered, I said, but I will end you if you don't back up now. And it shocked him so much that he started backing up. And what I realized at this point was this particular person was a talking bully.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came right down to somebody that then stood up to him, he didn't know what to do.
Right.
So anyway, and again, I'm, it's in my mind, I'm thinking, God, I don't even know how to handle this situation. It's been 30 or 40 years since anybody has acted like this.
Yeah, but you dealt with it obviously really well. And I have my own theory, according to Patrick, about bullies and about anger. But I think, I look at it in our students here at Georgetown University, where I am. I look at it in clients that I see. And the anger that exists there, it's very real and it's very hot. And a lot of it is, if you're able to track where some of this comes from, these individuals have just not been heard. Something is going on, something is really difficult. And for whatever reason, whatever's happening in their world,
mm-hmm.
that anger, which isn't anger, it's the pain kind of pushing the anger, but it's not heard, it's not dealt with in a way that they could really understand and move forward. And that's the only thing that makes sense to me. There's lots of other different ways to describe why anger is there and what's going on. But your point is an important one, because all of us, your listeners, me, you, everybody on this planet, we have a particular way of dealing with anger. And it can either be getting into somebody's face and trying to figure out how to de-escalate it the way you did. But it's shocking, though. Most of us don't do that. The vast majority. We do one of two things. Either we withdraw, and then we're stewing on it. It's going over and over in our brain. People can't see it. They're not really sure what's going on, but it's alive and well and being stoked. Or we withdraw like that, and then we come back and we do things in that passive aggressive place. And I'll give you an example that I had a client who was just dumbfounded because he would always go to work with his wife in the morning. They would travel into DC here, but sometimes he had to be in earlier for whatever reason. So he would take the train in. And the days that he took the train in, for some reason, his wife would just forget to come pick him up at the train station when he got home. And I said, well, kind of seems, what's going on here, right? He goes, no, I don't see it. What? He goes, well, she's mad that you didn't go in with her, and she's not sure how to kind of let you know that. So she lets you know it at the end of the day when you're standing there in the pouring rain waiting for a ride. And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, really? I mean, and so that passive aggressive piece is there for all of us.
Yep.
And it's more how to get to that place where we really do understand our anger. And I'm telling you, we all have it.
Yep.
And what does it mean? And how do we really operate with it in a way that doesn't get us into trouble, relationally or otherwise?
Well, what drew me to the story that I just said was something that you said just prior to that, which is emotional intelligence isn't just knowing oneself, but it is knowing how to then read someone else.
Exactly.
As you're saying now in this situation, the guy was getting all mad